Hi, my name is Nathan, and today we're going to do a comic book review of Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 1, brought to you by RatedComics. Let's get to it. Now, I believe this is my first DC review on this channel. Don't ask me why, there's so many comics and so little time, but with that being said, we're gonna get right into this thing. We start off with Krypton on its face to destruction. Jor-El and Laura tearfully embrace as Jor-El unveils a rocket ship, igniting it, and they leave before Krypton meets its untimely destruction. They land on Earth. The twist is, it's like Game of Thrones medieval times kind of Earth. In the spaceship, Jor-El is holding his wife's hand, Laura, and she's yelling out, "He's coming," meaning Kal-El. Superman's about to be born. So as she's screaming for his name, he turns around and a stampede of not so shiny knight in armors come over there with their arrows ready to pull and unleash their arrows on him. He tells them they're not a threat and to not do this. His wife calls out for his name. "Please, my wife's in labor." She tells him it's coming and the arrows fly, and in just a moment of panic and anger and protection, he yells out no and unleashes a beam of laser that just incinerates everyone except for his wife and baby boy, of course. So he turns around, Kal-El's born. She asks what happened. It's like, it's all right. Everything's gonna be all right. And in the wide radius pan view, we see everyone is in ashes with just steel and rock. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Storms, we see John Constantine screaming in prophecy. They have stepped into our worlds from theirs. They have stepped into our world from theirs. The Green Man waits. Fire and blood. Gods are born and gods are killed. And we see this guy writing everything down, and he turns around and tells somebody, "You should not be here, your highness." And that person is Black Knight in king form, medieval time. This is really awesome right here. And Black Knight instructs this guy just to keep writing. Write as many things as he's saying. And Constantine just continues yelling out prophecies. Swifter than the crossbow bolt. The Constantine boy is just talking in tongues. And Black Knight instruction, keep writing every word. And they just ask him, "What is it, Constantine? What do you see?" He wakes up from his trance and his prophecy. He's just like, "Our end. I see our end." 19 years later, in the Castle of El, Laura and Kal-El and Jor-El, Kal-El's father, they established their kingdom in this castle. Superman, I keep calling him Superman. Kal-El goes up to Bruce and tells Bruce, "I would have come with you." The knight in shining Batman. He's not called the Batman at this time. He's called the Bat Prince. We'll get into that later. So Superman tells you, "You rely on children to do your mission, but you think I'm impractical? You think I'm incapable?" Bruce is like, "Dude, you're practically a god." "Well, I'm not a god. You can shoot fire from your face, my lord." And that's Alfred talking to Superman. And Superman's begging to go on this mission, and Bruce tells him, "You can't go because I got to confront a banshee and a banshee's magic, and I will not lead you into danger, and I have sworn to protect you and your family from that harm." And Kal-El's like, "And are you immune to that magic? Are you not in danger?" And Bruce just gives him that look like, I ain't got shit to say about that. He leaves on his horse. Alfred's like, "That silent glare he gave you, that's the look he resorts to when he loses an argument." That's the look right there. So in the Fiest village, Batman or Bat Prince calls on his Robins, Richard, Duke, to report. And they're like his spies in that village, and they told Bruce, "We tracked the Banshee to the Pullman. The other Robins are evacuating the inn now." Alfred's like, "I'll guard the gates in case she gets away from you." And Bruce is like, "She won't." So in the Pullman, in the inn, Jason is pulling out this unconscious man. He's the innkeeper. And Batman's like, Bat Prince, I keep calling him, it's Bat Prince, asks him, "What are you doing?" Jason's like, "He wouldn't leave, so I try to reason with him." And Bat Prince like, "From now on, Stephanie does all the reasoning, because when you do the reasoning, everyone ends in comatose at an alarming rate." So Stephanie tells Bat Prince the inn's empty. She's in the third room, the back door's bolted from the inside. She's alone. And Bat Prince like, "You guys have done well. I'm going in." So despite the door being bolted, he tells the Banshee to get up slowly. She's like, "How'd you get in here?" "The door is bolted." "Do you know who I am?" He's like, "Yeah, you're the bastard Bat Prince." You know, think about the origin story of Batman. Parents die. He just asked her, "Are you an assassin sent by King Jefferson to annihilate the elves?" She's like, "I have no wish to harm the elves, no matter how much harm they wish upon me." And Bat Prince just tells, "Look, magic is your kind and is outlawed in this kingdom. You have violated the law by being here, and you will be in prison. If you come with me quietly and peacefully, you will not be mistreated." And she's like, "My name is Dina." And as for quietly, she unleashes a high decibel scream that shatters wood, metal, but just destroys everything. And this kind of scream is, the bleeding ears is the least of your worries as Bruce covers his ears. And she wonders, everything around you is destroyed. So she asks Bruce, how are you still alive? Why are you not torn into pieces? And as his ears are bleeding, he's like, I don't know. And she screams again right in his face. This is mysterious because as a mere human, a mere mortal, you would have been done for with the first go. So this is like an interesting twist that I hope they reveal about this later. It's got to be awesome. Kal-El comes in, huts your mouse, and looks at her, and he's like, you don't look like a monster. You just look like someone who's scared. And she is scared. You can see that in her eyes. Just trying to survive, be in peace. I ain't trying to confront nobody. Bruce knocks her out unconscious, and Kal-El's like, was that really necessary? And typical Bruce response, you're not supposed to be here. Gag her and throw her into the dungeon. And then Kal-El asks Bruce, are you all right? Because you're bleeding from your ears a fair amount for someone who's fine. He's like, I'm fine. And he's like, typical Bruce, bring her. So when they get back to the dungeon, Harley Quinn greets her, and this is very fitting for Harley Quinn to fit in this medieval fashion with her outfit to greet him and gag her and put her in the dungeon. And then typical Harley Quinn, she's like, Bruce, like, you know, come on, have a little fun. You're not fun at all with those little ears. And she dings on him and, you know, try to mess with Bruce and get him out of his character. But no, it's not gonna happen. Harley Quinn tells him, Kal-El, your parents would like to see you guys. Jor-El asks Bruce, why did you take Kal-El with you on that mission? And to cover it up, Bruce tells him, I'm sorry, it was an error in judgment. And Kal-El's like, don't lie for me. He didn't take me. I went on my own accord. And his parents are like, Kal-El, we want to protect you. And Kal-El's like, and I will not stand by while Bruce and his Robins risk their lives to protect us, especially when axes break on my skin. Jor-El asks Bruce, the Banshee, you found her? Yeah, she's in the dungeon. She's been muzzled. Do you believe she was coming for us? Kal-El's like, she wasn't coming for us. We came for her. Bruce is like, well, my Robins in Jefferson Court learned of a magical assassin had been sent. And Kal-El's like, that doesn't mean it's her. Father, you talk about everything good we brought to this world, yet we're locking away innocents. Bruce tells them they are not innocent, they are magic. Meaning, if you're magic, you're not innocent, right? And then Jor-El tells his son, we are the last of our race. I will do whatever I deem necessary to preserve us, to protect us. And Bruce kneels down. I will continue to do all that I can to protect you guys. And Laura goes up to Bruce saying, look, your parents were our friends. This is as much as your home as well as of ours. You do not need to kneel in front of us. And Jor-El's like, if I had my way, Bruce, you would be sitting here as a king. And he's like, why? They see you as a god. I'm just a bastard. And that just ruffles the feathers of Kal-El. Like, who cares? And he's like, well, the entire kingdom, I serve the entire kingdom. Our traditions do not stop at the whim of a smiling spaceman. So, in other words, it's backward traditions, but that's how Jor-El feels about Bruce. Enough, he says. Bruce, let's go out for a walk. So as he goes out for a walk, it's a thunderstorm. Bruce tells him, look, there's something wrong. And Jor-El's like, well, what's wrong? You don't look all the way right. And he's like, I'm afraid, Laura, I haven't wanted to say anything, but today I stood in the path of destruction. Wood turned to splinters and stones around me. I should have been killed, torn apart, yet I live. It's like for the first time I survived an encounter like this. I've sworn to protect you guys from magic, but I feel like I am cursed in some way, and it just is not sitting well with me. And there's a reason for that. Meanwhile, in the Hop Forest, we see Green Arrow sitting down on the tree, and we can only assume this is a Green Lantern, as the Green Man medieval version tells him, the ring spoke to me, Oliver, this is how the world is saved. And Oliver is like, you sure this will work? It will make the distance, the magic will guide the arrow. I just need your aim to be. He's like, man, my aim is not the question, bro. So he lets it rip. And I got to leave a little meat on the bone right here for you guys, because at the end of this issue, we find out the truth about Bat Prince and Bruce, why he is what he is, why he survived that attack, and it's a shocking ending, and I got to leave that in there. It's well worth the price of this book to find out. And I am totally with this DC's version of Game of Thrones with its heroes. Link in description, by the way, if you want to get the book. Here are my thoughts. Dark Knights of Steel is a fun time. Seeing that there's, familiar characters and a whole new set of clothes and a whole new set of clothing and setting and dynamics is enjoyable for sure. I understand the priority of this book was to introduce as many characters as possible, but it did it cleverly, beautifully, and it moved the story forward, and I am totally with this 100%. I'm not really much of a medieval person, but this feels like a Game of Thrones DC kind of vibe, and I could totally get jiggy with it. With that being said, Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 1. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. And also, if you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Don't be shy and don't be stingy. Here at Rated Comics, we do awesome comic book reviews, comic book related content with the occasional comic book giveaway. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.